Viewing experience.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night Vision Masters Toastmasters meeting. My name is Kuwaza Imara, and I will be doing somewhat of a performance tonight in terms of juggling several hats for roles in this meeting. The first hat I'm going to wear and juggle is that as Sergeant at Arms. And I'm doing that by calling this meeting to order. I will now do my first juggling act and put on the hat of Club President. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our meeting. Hello, Michelle. Welcome. Good to see you. And thank you for becoming part of this club. We feel very special, honored, and definitely enriched. Thank you. Lisa, hello, welcome. And we appreciate you joining us. Elios, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you for joining our meeting and thank you for agreeing to be our timer for tonight. I hope I'm going to pronounce his name correctly, and excuse me if I don't. Irfan.
Irfan Faruqi.
Irfan Faruqi.
Right.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining our meeting.
And can I be the co-host so I can name the G's in front of people's names?
I thought we had done that, but we can definitely. Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, then. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. I definitely want to extend appreciation. I'm aware that some of our guests are in different geographic locations and time zones. So thank you for taking time out from your day or evening to be with us. We've got some great speeches tonight. And without further ado, I'm going to doff the cap of president and don the cap of Toastmaster. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our meeting. Our Toastmaster meetings are comprised of several parts. We have the prepared speeches, which can be anywhere from 4 to 6 minutes to 10 to 12 minutes or longer. These are timed and evaluated. We also have that part of the meeting in which there is the opportunity to engage in impromptu speaking, off the cuff, as it were. This is called table topics. It's fun, and I think it's a good, important part of the meeting in that it gives participants an opportunity to practice speaking impromptu. Those little 1-minute speeches you might give on the elevator, so they say, or if you're in a social setting and somebody says, "Hi, what do you think about?" And you can definitely draw on your table topics experience. The third part of our meeting is the evaluation part, in which we evaluate the speeches as they were timed and also for quality and content. I will now call to the virtual lectern our general evaluator for the day, who will introduce members of their team. And tonight, our general evaluator is Wesson Sahai. Wesson.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President and Toastmasters of the evening. Welcome, guests. I will be the general evaluator for this evening, and I will evaluate and give a feedback for everything except for the speakers, as the speakers have their own evaluators. So I'm gonna do that. I have a helper and the timer, the evaluator, and the grammarian. Our timer, our guest, Elios, I believe agrees to be our timer. Can you tell us your role as a timer, please?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the timing signal will be changed when the time is green like this. You can see the color and the writing green on the screen, and yellow will be like this. The yellow on the color and the yellow on the letter. And last but not least, try to summarize your speeches when it is reaching red. You can see the color red on the background and the letter red on the background. And because the time is different, its speeches, it will be changing accordingly to the speech duration. Back to you, Chi.
Thank you so much. And our grammarian, I don't see him, Mr. Bruce Taylor. And should we wait for him, or do I have another person to perform as a grammarian? Anyway.
Weston, since we have kind of a full meeting, what I would suggest is rather than having that role totally filled, we do have a word of the day that has been put into the chat with the definition. So we can just possibly as general evaluator, just note usage of the word of the day, and rather than trying to fill out the full grammarian role, we'll just not do that for this evening. There you are.
Sure. Okay. I will do that. And the word of the day is, let me see it in the charts. Give me 1 second. I'm using my cell phone, and I had the agenda. If I open the agenda, it's gonna turn it off everything. Can somebody?
The word of the day is opinion. Opinion. Yeah, opinion.
Okay, opinion. So you, when I get the opinion, the word of the day, try to use it. And the opinion is not real. This has to be personal opinion. When I give as a general evaluator, I'm gonna give my opinion. It doesn't mean it's real. So you can take it as a feedback, or you don't. So the opinion, the word of the day, and I'll call the evaluators later on when I call by Toastmasters. And now back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Wesson. And thank you for introducing members of your team. As I said earlier, we have a very great meeting this evening. We've got some wonderful speeches. Our first speaker is Mike Pruett. Excuse me. Mike Pruett, I'll just give a brief introduction here. He was born locally in Oakland, grew up in Berkeley, a Berkeley kid. He's a retired CPA with a master's degree in taxation. So for those of you who are wondering what to do about those year-end deducts, you might want to give Mike a little email. He's also
Retired
a virtual
CPA,
remote
that's the-
operations volunteer at the familysearch.org, helping to build the free family tree for the entire human family. Boy, you're going to be up late doing that. Okay. One of his favorite things to do is to explore the family tree and the disparate parts of the family. He's been married for 45 years, 5 kids, 15 grandkids. Boy, Mike, when do you sleep? You must be busy. As a Toastmaster, he served as club treasurer, educational vice president, and District 57 Area B12 Director. So Mike definitely has some experience in Toastmasters and definitely has some tips to share with us. He's also completed 2 Paths in a Pathways program and a youth leadership program. Congratulations, Mike. They are our future, and I'm glad you're investing time with the young people. He is also currently club coach for Vision Masters Toastmasters here in Oakland. Yay, thank you. His speech tonight is from the Leadership Excellence Series, Giving Effective Feedback. He will speak about his experience as VP of Education for creating Communications Toastmasters. As VPE, he led his club to achieve 19 level completions, 7 more than required for the Distinguished Club designation. The speech will include a question and answer session to meet the requirements of the Level 4 assignment. Mike Pruett, speech title is Giving Effective Evaluations. Mike Pruett, Giving Effective Speech Evaluations.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. In my opinion, it never hurts to have a joke master to start the meeting. So I have a question for you. What was the snowman doing in the produce section of the supermarket? Picking his nose. Thank you. I'd like to start by sharing my screen. I've got a wonderful PowerPoint that I would love to share with you. See if I can pull it up. And let me know if you see it. Great. My speech is Giving Effective Feedback from the Leadership Excellence Series. And I'm doing it under question and answer session format so I can get credit for question and answer elective in level 4 of persuasive influence. Okay, giving effective feedback. I'm going to talk about my experience, which I really loved, of being Vice President of Education. And during that time, we had 19 level completions. And I'm going to tell you the secret of how I did it. Feedback helps teams achieve goals, build confidence and pride, and succeed. And there are 4 steps to effective feedback. Set clear and concise objectives. Observe team members' performance. Provide immediate feedback. And recognize positive performance. Now, my experience is that the better job you do about setting clear and concise objectives, the easier everything else is going to be. Because this is one big cycle in Toastmasters. You give someone an assignment, they carry it out, and you give feedback and give them another assignment. So I'm going to tell you a little bit how I did that. Okay. Objectives. As leaders in Toastmasters and officers, we are focused on trying to achieve the distinguished club status. Down here on the bottom, well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 goals that we want to meet. And if we can meet 9 out of those 10, we are President's Distinguished Club. Now, 6 of these are education goals. They're all about level completions. And 1 is training. That's 7 areas that the Vice President of Education is responsible for. It's a big job. And these are heavy, heavy assignments. In order to get them done, you need to have your Toastmasters members buying in on helping to accomplish these goals. And I want to talk about how to do that. Okay. How do the club objectives relate to member objectives? Well, people who are officers, they've been around a long time. They are all about reaching President's Distinguished level and getting those objectives. But the newer members, they have other things on their mind. For example, People who join your club usually have a problem or a need pertaining to public speaking or leadership and are convinced that Toastmasters can help. Before new members can become integral components of your club's membership, they must confront two types of anxiety. One is the idea of standing before an audience and presenting a speech or leading a meeting. Has anybody ever had that anxiety? Supposedly, that's the number one fear all across the globe, is speaking in public. The second anxiety is a normal human concern associated with joining any unfamiliar group and seeking acceptance. Now, in order to get the buy-in of these new people, I like to hold something called a new member orientation. Toastmasters has it. It's called Form 1167J. And in the new member orientation, I like to start with getting a new member profile, having people write down their occupations, interests, and goals. And then on the phone or in a Zoom meeting, I go over their goals with them. What objectives do you hope to accomplish as a member of this club? Are public speaking or leadership skills required in your job or profession? How would you describe your current skill level as a speaker or leader? Do you have any special concerns about speaking in front of an audience? That goes back to the anxieties that we talked about. Why did you choose to join a Toastmasters club? And what can the club do to help you accomplish their goals? Now, when I get an answer in all these areas, I know their concerns, I know their goals. It reminds me of Stephen R. Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Habit number 5 was first seek to understand and then seek to be understood. Okay, so when I am going to set up an agenda and give people assignments, I had a spreadsheet. And on the spreadsheet, I would list all the assignments for the month. And when I would start with a new member, I'd talk to them about how Toastmasters is a learn by doing experience. You're going to learn by doing roles in a meeting. You're going to learn by doing the pathways speech assignments. And so I said, I want you to make a commitment to do at least 1 speech a month. And I want you to pick a week that you're going to do it. So as you see here, the green ones are for speakers. So Anthony and Irene, they were speakers for week 1. Dwayne and Yolanda, week 2. Diane and Joan, week 3. Camille and Bob, week 4. And then if there was a 5th week, we'd have the leaders step in. And then I'd also have everybody rotate through all of the roles so they get practice with those skills. Okay, now it's time for me to give people assignments. And how did I do that? I wrote them emails. But when I wrote an email, I would want to coach people about how best to fulfill that assignment. And I would attach the tools they need. For example, timer roll. I would send a timer script and log. I would send the virtual backgrounds for the green, yellow, and red cards. And I would coach these people in all the different things so that when they performed their role, they were successful. What I noticed is if people were not successful in the roles, they got embarrassed. And if that happened 2 or 3 times, they didn't come back. So my job was to make sure they were prepared so that they would be successful. But I only wrote one of these emails 1 time. Why is that? Templates. After I wrote the first one, I would save it as a template. And then I was ready to use it the next time. I just had to change the name. And I had about 20 templates that covered all the roles and a lot of the speeches. I'll give you an example of what an email looked like. Okay, Evaluator instructions. Hi, Sean. Your assignment for next week is to be an evaluator. You're on the agenda to evaluate Joan Almeida. Joan is scheduled to give an elective speech from level 4 of her innovative planning pathway. Would you contact Joan and find out if she needs any help with the speech? And then I give him some coaching about evaluations. Toastmasters recommends positivity in evaluations. There is always something positive to say. Look to the speaker's experience, preparation, and presentation to find places to praise his or her efforts. If you feel constructive criticism is necessary, keep it succinct. The most successful feedback has a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative, 80-20. Some Toastmasters prefer the sandwich method of providing feedback. The evaluator begins with positives, adds some areas needing improvement, and then ends with more positive feedback. This method helps to create positive interactions and facilitates the acceptance of important constructive feedback. And then I'd say, I appreciate your willingness to take on this assignment. Contact Joe Morrow, who'll be general evaluator, or myself, we can help you prepare in any way. Now I had that saved, so all I had to do was change the name, and I could, what I did, we had meetings on Tuesday night. So Wednesday, I sent out an email to everybody that had a role on Tuesday night. And I would give them some positive feedback about how they did. And then I would set the new clear and concise objectives and coach them for their next role. Now you notice how in the evaluation coaching, there was a lot about positive feedback. And that reminds me of our club mission statement. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. I personally believe if we can remember that, we will succeed at giving very good feedback. There we go. The next part of feedback is to observe team members' performance. So here we go. We've just coached Sean about giving his speech. He's going to give his speech. And then I am going to provide immediate feedback. I'm going to send him an email the next day telling him, well, let's say he was he was being an evaluator. So I give him some positive feedback about that. And then I would give him his coaching for his next assignment, which in this case was the first speech in the evaluation and feedback series. Then another part of observing the performance is, let's see if I can get this right. Here we go. Is after a speech, I had a part of my spreadsheet where I keep track of each individual's progress on pathways. And I would write down when they completed each assignment. I'd make some notes. And when they got to the end of assignment, I'd coach them on how to do completion so they would get that certificate of achievement. And I am convinced that triggers some endorphins when you get that certificate of achievement. And then I would go to another part of my spreadsheet and I would put that achievement here. So I have a part of my spreadsheet where I have all my level achievement requirements. And here's our goal to get club distinguished. And then when I get a level of completion, I put the initials and the date. And here, for an example, level 4, our goal was 4. We actually had 6, and I kept track of them all. Our goal for level 3 was to have 2. We had 3. For level 4, we had 2. We had 6. So I kept track of all of these. I was also in charge of officer training. So I listed all of our officers and who went to the first training and who went to the follow-up training. So I make sure that we got credit for everybody going to a training. I had a spot in my spreadsheet where I kept track of that. Okay, so giving constructive feedback, in summary, be specific, speak for yourself, be sincere, and emphasize how your actions affect the team. I love my team members in my club, and I was very sincere when I gave them encouragement and positive feedback and coaching so that they could succeed. Now, one other thing in constructive feedback is using the I technique. Now, studies have been done, and what they found is that if you're going to give feedback and you start with the word you, Y-O-U, this tends to make people defensive. So as an alternative, they recommend using the word I. And you say, I see that this is how you did it, so on and so forth. And here, I think it could be done differently this way. Okay, so, and then end on a positive note, recognize improvement, be specific, express your appreciation, encourage more of the same. And again, we come back to our club mission statement, be positive and supportive. And as a conclusion, meaningful feedback reinforces outstanding performance and encourages others to improve. And that was my experience as Vice President of Education. So now I'm going to open it up to questions.
I'm going to ask the timer to give us 8 minutes for questions and answers.
Michelle, go ahead.
Yeah, so when you're developing a group, did you develop all these spreadsheets yourself, or is this something that is available through Toastmasters website?
I am a CPA. Somebody said the first requirement to becoming a CPA is to fail the personality portion of the mortician's exam. We like spreadsheets. We're always building little spreadsheets. I like colors. So I built all those, but I am definitely willing to share those gladly.
All right. I could probably use your help in that.
You bet. My pleasure.
Me too. I too, not me too. I too.
You bet.
So are you gonna put this the deck out for everyone, Mike, or how are you gonna do that?
Oh yeah, I'd be happy to share the deck. I also have a spreadsheet that has some of those things that I can set up so that you have a prototype to work with.
Okay, so this is Cassandra that's speaking. Thank you.
Okay, and send me your email. And
Okay, I'll put it in the chat.
okay, great.
Thank you.
Or Mike, maybe you can
question.
upload the deck in the chat? Would that be too hard?
Put the deck in the chat. I haven't done that
Maybe
before.
getting emails would be best. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a big file.
Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
I have a question, Mike.
uh-huh.
Do you have any recommendations for neophytes in spreadsheets as to an initial learning experience about the use of spreadsheets?
That is a good question. I would recommend going on YouTube and just looking up how to use a spreadsheet. There's just everything is out there on YouTube. I told you about using templates in Gmail. I use templates all the time when I was Vice President of Education, but that was 2020 to 2021. I have not used templates since then, but I pulled up one YouTube, a 2.5-minute YouTube, and it totally refreshed my memory and I was able to go right back to my whole list of templates. So I would say, look up a YouTube on spreadsheets, but that's also sounds like a good topic for a Toastmaster speech. Basics of spreadsheets.
Carry on. Thank you.
Michelle.
My next question is, when you are recruiting someone and say they are a little bit fearful, well, because so many people are, but you know that they really want to develop themselves as a speaker, do you have something that you have said to an individual that you feel was very powerful and made them want to be a part of the group?
I do. And that is form 1167J. Got to get that form, and that's the new member orientation, which is all about making the connection, understanding their goals, and then letting them know that for 100 years, Toastmasters program has helped people achieve those goals. And the way they've done it is a learn by doing program, participating in the meetings, working on the speech assignments, and so on, and being and taking leadership roles. And so that's all covered in form 1167J, which is the new member orientation form. And I actually have, that's part of my spreadsheet, is that I have that text of that 1167J next to the progress report, that colorful progress report on your pathways. So I can send that to you.
Wonderful. I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, because I read that. In fact, I put on a session for Toastmasters International District 57 on new member orientations. I have that too. That might be fun for you to watch.
Okay,
May
wonderful.
I also interject something here? This is Cassandra Garabedian, and I'm the VP of Education for Leaders Worldwide. And I'd just like to say that you seem like you're really interested and you really want to go for it. And this part, just participation. Get in, work on your speeches, be involved, take on roles, and just participate.
That is the
That's what it takes.
Toastmaster's
That's what
secret
it
to
takes.
success. It's learn by doing.
Yes, participate, get involved, take on roles.
Yeah, and if
Speak.
you're Vice
Participate.
President of Education, I would get that 1167, read it over, and try it out on some new members, either by the phone or on a Zoom meeting, and go through the questions with them. And I've done it with 3 members of our club, and I guess I would love to get their feedback how they feel about if that helped them get off on the right foot.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And Michelle's new. I need to do one with her.
Mm. And repeat that form number, Mike, again. That you're
Form
referring
number
to?
is 1167J.
1167. Okay, thank you.
You bet. There are no
Looks
more
like-
questions. I will stop sharing and turn the time back to our.
Hi, Mike. I
Huh?
have a question.
Okay.
Have you ever trained in TLI?
Have I ever what?
Train or being a trainer for VP of Education?
I have not. I've been a trainer for new member orientation. I did a training session for District 57 recently, but I haven't done one except for this one. This is my first one that's kind of a training for Vice President of Education.
I think this is, in my opinion, this is the best training.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. If there's nothing else.
Thank you very much for that wonderful, very informative speech, Mike. I'm sure that you definitely stirred some ideas among our members and guests in terms of how to engage members. Now we have our next speaker, Dr. Wade Cartwright, who will be evaluated by Michelle. Michelle?
Yes, Dr. Wade Cartwright. Tonight, we'll be doing a Pathways Dynamic Leadership speech. Reflect on your path. My journey through the dynamic leadership path. Dr. Wade Cartwright is a medical doctor specializing in audiology in Oakland, California. He has been in Toastmasters since 2014 and has served in several clubs as officer in the area director position. Dr. Cartwright is a VP of membership and a secretary of Vision Masters. He is also a Vision Masters SPEECHCRAFT coordinator. Let's welcome Dr. Wade Cartwright.
Dr. Wade Cartwright, welcome, welcome. Dr. Wade Cartwright will be speaking from the Dynamic Leadership, Reflect on Your Path. So it shows as a 10 to 12-minute speech. The title of his speech is My Journey Through the Dynamic Leadership Path, Dr. Wade Cartwright. My Journey Through the Dynamic Leadership Path, Dr. Wade Cartwright.
Well, thank you for that introduction. This path, dynamic leadership, had so much in it that it was very difficult for me to craft a speech, but I thought I would use the Toastmasters core values in doing that. So let me mention the Toastmasters core value is our integrity, respect, service, and excellence. A good mnemonic for that is IRS. Everybody knows about IRS and tax due date, but that was my first employer, so it's easy for me to do that. I for integrity, R for respect, S for service, and E for excellence. So that helps me remember our Toastmasters core values. So let me start with respect. When I think about respect, I think about integrity. And relative to that, there's a question, is Toastmasters going to deliver the goods? What are the goods that Toastmasters is promising to deliver? Let me go to our club mission statement, as Mike Pruett already referred to, and remind us that we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Let me underline supportive and positive learning experience. And also let me underline resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And relative to that, let me start with a story. My first Toastmasters Club meeting, there was this lady. She had been in Toastmasters for 4 months and had not given a icebreaker speech yet. She was very nervous and very anxious, and everyone understood that she was very nervous and very anxious and did not push her very hard to do that. But she gave her icebreaker speech. And it was obvious that she was nervous. It was obvious that she had some skills too. So halfway through her speech, she stopped speaking. and started crying. She broke down and started crying, and gathered enough courage to complete that speech. It was a pretty good speech, and the club applauded her for her courage and her stepping up to give that speech. 2 weeks later, she gave another speech, which was a fantastic speech, And a month later, she was in the community, giving, participating in storytelling contests, and came in second in a storytelling contest. And later that year in the club, she demonstrated her leadership skills, and participated very fully in committees and events that were before her. So relative to her, she demonstrated a response to the Toastmasters core values and the club mission statements. We delivered, as far as she was concerned, that supportive environment, so that she did grow very rapidly in her speaking skills. She grew so rapidly that after 9 months, she no longer needed us because she was developing her own business as a baker. She was she had 2 or 3 employees, and it was taking full time. And we haven't seen her since. But she, one of these days, we're going to invite her to come back and talk to us about how she benefited from Toastmasters. So the second thing I want to talk about is the respect in being the kind of leadership that we want to be, and being the kind of leader that we want to be. It's important that there be respect for us, our leadership, respect for the members. This also relates to our mission statement, which is demonstrated to members when they come as guests. Do we do what we're going to do? We do what we say we're going to do? Are we respecting them? Are we respecting their time? Do we start on time? Do we end on time? Do we treat each other with warmness and respect? Do we model that? That's all very important in our respect. Also, the third item is service. Are we involved in adequate service? Do we model the things that we want to delegate? Sometimes we have new members with high ability and high motivation, and with them, all we have to do is direct them and provide them with the learning experiences, the learning materials, and just direct them. And then sometimes we have new members with less ability, but still are motivated. So these members need a little bit more coaching, and we need to model for them a little bit more. And then we have some members with very little ability and very little motivation, and with them we just need to take time, because the team will demonstrate its effect on its members in terms of growth. And in terms of excellence, let me say that first we learn to know the way, and then we go the way, and then we can show the way, and that way we can apply excellence to each aspect of that. We can apply excellence into our learning all of what we can learn from Toastmasters. Also, we serve Toastmasters. It's important for us to give Toastmasters feedback. Toastmasters, the program has been old and unyielding. And in recent years, they've tried to improve it with a new program, pathways, respecting how younger people, I would say, learn and want to communicate. Also, it's important that these young people give feedback to Toastmasters. They can communicate to Toastmasters International with various communications, emails, and their suggestions, comments, and criticisms will be noticed. So also in servicing, we step up and provide leadership in terms of our mentoring, in terms of our participating in club roles, in terms of our participation in club leadership roles. This is very important towards our leadership. So let me say that, one thing I forgot to mention is this leadership role this program talks about charisma. It talks about how some people are just born with charisma, but it also talks about how we can all improve our charisma-like qualities with approachability and enthusiasm. I'm sure that we can point to the people in our clubs with that kind of charisma, approachability, and enthusiasm. There are several faces on this screen that meets that criteria. I would like to point to Cynthia. I'd like to point to Kawaza. I'd like to point to Mike, and also Michelle. I think she would be quite good at this. So having said that, and having said that this learning path has had several things so much in it that I couldn't talk about all of it, and that if we keep in mind our Toastmasters core values and our meeting goals, mission statements in all of our activities, we will be great leaders. We will be better leaders. We will be the kind of leaders that we want to be. And back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you for that speech, Dr. Wade. And thank you for incorporating the core values of Toastmasters. These are important values and sometimes aren't discussed enough. So thank you for incorporating that as part of your speech. I'm going to ask the timer to give us 90 seconds on the clock, and our participants can send questions and comments to Dr. Wade via the chat. Thank you. Cassandra, I see your name keeps popping up on the screen there. It's interesting.
My name?
Because yeah, I'm looking at it's like really major across my screen.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. This is Cassandra. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know, maybe it's just my screen.
What of silent is up, so you can continue.
Thank you. As I mentioned, we have full agenda, some very interesting, informative speeches tonight. Our next speaker, Michelle Waffle, will be evaluated by Hank Cartwright. Hank, do you have the objectives for Michelle's speech? Hello?
Yes, I have the objectives for her speech.
Would you share those with us, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have the evaluation criteria that I'm going to be using.
Right, yes.
Okay. The first is clarity with spoken language. Spoken language is clear and easily understood, and also vocal variety and use of tone, speed, and volume as tools. Eye contact, gestures, audience awareness, comfort level, and interest.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Michelle is giving a speech tonight from Pathways Strategic Relationships and Level 2, Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. This is a 5 to 7 minute speech. Michelle is one of our newer members and has actually given her icebreaker very enthusiastically. Her speech title tonight is Anxiety Zap. Michelle Waffle, Anxiety Zap.
Hello, everyone. Well, I came up with this thing about my mentor one night in the middle of the night, woke up, and it was, Jesus is my homie. In case you didn't know me, I'm grateful for his love and how he watches me from up above. He takes away my stress. He's simply the best. He's my healer. He's my protector. He's the greatest love of all. And guess what? He'll catch you if you fall. going to hypnotherapy school was one of the most interesting things I've ever done for myself. I went to a hypnotherapist to quit smoking, and I wanted to know what he did to my brain. So I went to school to find out by becoming a clinical hypnotherapist. When I got there, we went through several different types of courses. People, what they think of clinical hypnotherapy is not that. I do not make anybody squawk like chickens, ever. But we learned several different tools that enhance the mind, that give us tools to disrupt patterns of the brain, to reprogram our minds. And one of the things that we cover is called the inner critic. And the inner critic can give a lot of people great anxiety. You hear fear, false evidence appearing real. But this voice inside your head can also give you a lot of false evidence appearing real. You can talk yourself into whatever you want to. It can be very, very stressful and bad, or it can be extremely great and enlightening and can bring you up at a higher vibration and bring you to a very great state of mind. Well, I was in this classroom with 9 psychologists and 6 people just like myself that just wanted to become a clinical hypnotherapist. I asked these 9 psychologists, I said, why are you guys here? And they said, well, after seeing somebody for 2 years, we have to give them some sort of reason to get out. Well, that was true, because when I started my hypnotherapy practice, it was like one and done. So I understood that. They got in the business of making money. I got in the business of just fixing people instantly. When we were talking, they all got into this whole entire conversation about this inner critic and this voice inside your head. And the first thing they said is, get with your partner and talk about this voice inside your head. And I'm thinking, what are they talking about? I don't have a voice inside my head. And everybody's together and they are so passionate about this voice inside their head, and they're talking about it and they're telling stories to each other. And I'm dumbfounded, and I just sat there in silence, trying to figure out why I didn't have that voice inside my head. But you see, when I started doing massage therapy way before hypnotherapy, I instantly was starting to pick up on everybody's emotion. I started to feel their feelings, cry their tears. Instantly, I started seeking out ways that I could find out what was happening to me. And there was an acupuncturist in Berkeley that taught me Reiki, was energy, which gave me a greater understanding about my body and what was happening and why I was taking on these emotions. Instantly, I was able to really work with this newfound gift, people wanted to call it. I just feel I had more information than most people know about themselves. If everybody had this information, they would have the gift too. But I started working with it, and I was starting to try to understand it on a much deeper level, and realized I gave a massage to a great friend of mine who had just been raped. And I had cried for 3 days, and I wanted to know why I was crying, because I didn't have anything to be sad about. I had been a food server at Marie Callender's in Walnut Creek for 6 years, and I didn't know how to use the computer, and I was the one who trained everybody on the floor. I was trying to really understand what exactly happened to me. And then it dawned on me. I had this moment where this grandmother was with this granddaughter, and they were having dinner together. And in that moment, it reminded me of who I was. And instantly, something came back to me, and I was able to do everything that I had been doing my whole life. I knew this system so well as a waitress that I was able to get all my tables aligned and get everything served and everything to everybody at all that given time. And then I knew how powerful our energy was in this energy exchange. So I wanted to know how I could control that, how I could protect myself from this. And so I was doing a healing night at Dolphin Dream in downtown Walnut Creek. And the lady was there, and I explained my story, and I said, how do I get rid of this? what do I do? And she goes, Jesus transformed that thought into a positive. And that just made sense to me because I grew up with Jesus as being like a great guy in my life, a very positive influence. And so I just started saying, Jesus transformed that thought. Anytime anything was negative inside my voice, Jesus transformed that thought into a positive. Jesus transformed that thought into a positive. Jesus transformed that thought into a positive. No matter what, I'd be driving down the street thinking about getting in an accident. Jesus transformed that thought into a positive. I would be thinking I was going to do bad on a test. Jesus transformed that thought into a positive. And what I had realized is I had shut down that inner voice. I had shut down that voice of anxiety, that voice that was inside my head. As a therapist, I've worked with several different people, and we all have different beliefs, and I accept and love everyone. I think all of it is so magnificent and how everybody's so individual. And so I worked with them on their own anxiety zap sentence and word to have them have their words transformed for themselves so they could be free from any kind of negativity inside their head. So I encourage you to find your sentence. If you love Jesus like I do, use Jesus transform that thought. But if it's something else, find a creative way to disrupt that pattern and don't give any energy or time or effort to any negativity that's inside your head. And as soon as you disrupt that negative pattern, connect with the highest vibration you've ever felt and bring in that light and transform your day in that moment. Thank you so much for letting me share.
Thank you for that share, Michelle. Thank you. And as this is a time of a lot of stress for many people, those tips you gave can be very helpful. Thank you. I'm going to ask the timer to give us 90 seconds and we can send our questions and comments to Michelle via the chat.
My apologies, I cannot find the chat. Is it the notes?
Look under more, there's those three little dots on the far right.
Perfect, just found it. Thank you.
And you click on those and the chat should be there. Unfortunately, they've added something to the bottom here that says AI Companion. Don't click on that. But click on more and the chat should show there.
I found it. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yes. It's experiential in terms of how we're going through this. Sounds like life. Yes.
Learn by doing.
Yes.
My wife at her work, she has one more thing she says. See one, do one, and teach one.
That's
1
popular.
minute of silence is done.
That's another good learning strategy.
Exactly.
That sounds like something a nurse would say.
I've heard a doc or two saying that too.
Kwanzaa, Katrina had a work emergency and she had
Oh,
to
no.
stay after for that, so she just texted me. So if you want, I can give the table topics or whatever you want.
Sure. An impromptu table topic person for the impromptu table. That sounds appropriate. Let's see. Okay, our minute is up, and thank you for giving me that preview. As you may have heard, our scheduled table topics master for this evening is not available at the moment. However, we do have someone who can definitely not fill in, but definitely more than adequately do the task. Cynthia Stott, our table topics master for this evening. Cynthia.
Thank you, Kwanzaa. It is my pleasure to be your table topics master. And tonight's theme is effective feedback. And the word of the day is opinion. And in my opinion, an evaluation, not so everyone is qualified. Your opinion, how you felt, what you saw, what you heard. So I would like to know your opinion on effective feedback. So I'm going to call on a member that hasn't had a speaking role yet. Let's see. A Toastmasters member. Lisa, would you like to give a table topic? Answer a table topic question to demonstrate?
Sure, that'd be fine as long as I don't have to put my camera on. Is my background noise too noisy?
No, I don't hear
Okay.
anything.
Oh, that's great. I don't know how that happens. Okay, perfect.
Great. So what is your opinion on what makes an effective evaluation? What is your opinion on what makes an effective evaluation?
How did you all think that the speeches went tonight?
Great.
I thought they were awesome. Just like Cynthia, I was totally mesmerized, and in my opinion, they were great speeches. I particularly loved Michelle's speech. She had a high energy, and Mike's speech was priceless. It was definitely worth the price of admission, and I would love to have him come to our club and do that speech. I think that evaluations are very important, and I think that giving positive feedback and encouraging people of all qualities to shine and rise, I think that that's super important. There's so many wonderful evaluation seminars that I've been finding through Toastmasters on different ways to include giving positive feedback, giving a little bit of insight into how we can improve our speeches, and then giving more positive feedback. It's a great way of doing it. As a teacher of 40 years, I'm used to giving my students feedback, and I find that giving them and their families lots of feedback on how well they've done in spite of their limitations has really allowed them to rise and to shine and to grow. So I would encourage all of you to find these same sorts of tips and tricks and techniques and to give each other as much positive feedback as you can and pass that feedback on to your families and friends as well. Thank you for the opportunity of this fabulous question. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lisa, for that excellent evaluation question and your opinion on evaluations. Next, we have Elios, who has volunteered to be a table topic speaker. So I'm going to volunteer to give you your timing with the timing card. Elios, would you like to step up to the stage and answer a question?
Here, can you see me?
Yes, you're a little bit quiet.
Hello? Can you see me? Can you hear me?
But a little quiet. We can see you, but you're quiet. So a little louder, maybe your mic.
Oh. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes, great, 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 great. So my question is, have you ever what was the best evaluation? In your opinion, what was the best evaluation you've ever received? In your opinion, what was the best?
I'm just testing again. Can you hear me and see me? Okay, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, what do you think about evaluation? People say that it is the breakfast for the champion. Some others say that it is the rounds for the winners. And the other will always say that it is the dinner for those of world champion. So, which one is it? I'm wondering, are you taking the breakfast, taking the lunch, or even taking the dinner? Well, winner takes all. So yes, I happily receive this opinion. The best evaluation that I have ever received is, Ilios, you talk too much. You need to stop. You need to make it shorter. And that's one of the reason I joined Toastmasters. The 5 to 7 minutes duration is one of the best time that we need to learn. When you have the chance to speak for 1 hour, 2 hours, even 12 hours straight, I have no problem at all. But when I need to speak for 5 to 7 minutes with message on it, that's the toughest challenge that I have ever had in my life. And that's the best evaluation that I will always get from Toastmasters. They said to me, Ilios, sharpen your speeches. You talk a lot, no message at all, too many points. Yes, that's it. I humbly took it and improved it thanks to all of those opinions from my friend in Toastmasters. So ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, have you grabbed your dinner? Or have you even eaten your breakfast? Let's go for lunch. Back to you, Cynthia.
Thank you. Excellent speech. And by the way, it was 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Really good. Not too long. You've learned a lot about shortening your speeches. Excellent. Excellent. Do I have another volunteer?
You can have one more.
One more. Oh, yes, Michelle. Your question is, in your opinion, what is the worst evaluation you've ever received? In your opinion, what is the worst evaluation you've ever received?
In my opinion, I have to say the worst evaluation that I've ever received is no feedback to improve and grow. I'm here to grow. I'm here to become a better speaker. I'm here to get constructive criticism. And I believe that constructive criticism can be delivered in a very positive way to enhance us as speakers, to develop us as leaders, to develop us as individuals, to create us a platform to really grow and expand. So someone that wants to sugarcoat something would be, in my opinion, the worst evaluation someone could receive. Being able to be creative with your words in your evaluation to uplift that person and also teach them something to help them grow to the next level is so important in this group, because we come here to really become better communicators, better speakers, better leaders, and better teachers of whatever it is that we're communicating about. So I believe anybody that sugarcoats would be absolutely, in my opinion, the worst type of evaluation that I could ever receive. Thank you so much for letting me share.
Thank you so much for that excellent evaluation. And I loved how you turned it around and made a positive statement about a negative evaluation. That was great. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you. And I want to thank everyone who participated in table topics. Those were some incisive questions and some insightful answers. So not just opinions, but definitely some good information. Now that we've had the time speeches and the impromptu speeches, it's time for the evaluation part of our meeting. To that end, I will call to the virtual lectern our general evaluator for this evening, Wesson Sahai. Wesson.
Thank you so very much. Now I would like to start evaluating our speakers. And we heard what is a good evaluation and what is the worst evaluation. So we're gonna give sincere and real feedback. Then I would like to start with Mr. Kwaza evaluating, I believe, Mike's speech. I believe you are, in my opinion, you are his the Mike's evaluator. So I'll start with you.
Oh my goodness. You are correct. I am the first evaluator evaluating Mike's speech. Mike, generally speaking, you were very effective in your speech. Overall, your delivery was very clear. Your points were very concise. You said very clear and understandable language in outlining the purpose of your speech and your objectives. You were more than adequately prepared. You had the PowerPoint, I'll say, all set, and you followed it very clearly. And even though you were reading, it was easy to understand from point to point to point. You personalized your delivery by using examples. For example, when you talked about the new member orientation, you explained that you not only had developed a template, but you put in the names of the persons who were going to be doing specific roles. You emailed persons who were doing specific roles so that it had a personal touch, not just something that was rote. You displayed your visuals smoothly, and your style was engaging. You had a nice pacing. You had a very moderated vocal variety as well. One piece that I would offer in terms of to grow, and I say this with a slight nuance as I'm kind of guilty of it myself, is maybe a little more body language. I do understand that even as we are using the computer, it's a little hard to get body language emphasis in delivering our speeches, but that's one piece I would offer to grow on. It was well delivered, well prepared. And one other piece I would offer is that you had so much information and it seemed so well prepared and so applicable in terms of any VP of education using it or any club. I would suggest maybe you might consider doing this as a presentation at, say, a Toastmasters convention. Just a thought. Back to you, Madam GE.
Thank you so much for the great feedback, and thank you. I would like to call, I believe, Michelle evaluating Dr. Wade's speech.
I sometimes forget to unmute. You have to forgive me. I really, really enjoyed your speech. What I love the best is that you really got deeply into the core values and you laid a platform of where you were going to start this speech. And then you dove into the story and really engaged us with a story and brought us in to this story because we were just wanting to see how things were going to turn out. So you had brought us in to this story, which I thought was extremely great. On your vocal variety, my favorite thing was when you just started to bring up all of the values that we have in Toastmasters that we follow, and you would use your vocal variety in them. Sometimes you would speak about respect with a little bit lower, and you'd like pull it up with excellence, and you would use this vocal variety in there. But my favorite vocal variety that you use was learn the way, go the way, show the way. I really loved how you brought that in. That was one of my favorite vocal varieties I could pick out of the speech, that it really kind of stood out to me, that I wanted to grab in and take notes about it. You're engaging the audience maybe a little bit more, and engaging the audience by maybe asking an open-ended question about these values, like, do you know these values? Like, to pull in the audience just a little bit more so they could start questioning themselves as they're listening to you. That way they can gather and learn a lot more from you. Would be the one thing that I would say would be a great way to bring us in a little bit more and want to engage with what you're bringing to us. Oh, and then when you speak with charisma, that was my favorite, because you would talk about charisma, and then the charisma inside of you just started to come out, and the more personality started coming out, and your facial expressions and everything changed when you started talking about charisma. So maybe before you start a speech, to really kind of quiet your mind and think about charisma, because just when you said the word charisma, you just, I mean, exploited it. You brought so much more facial expression into the mix. You brought so much more eye contact and more engagement with your body language when you said the word charisma, and you got really excited talking about the charisma, which brought us in. And the one thing about communication through email, I was thinking, I don't need another email. I'd rather have somebody text me. That's just the way I roll, because I'm always going like a bullet through my life.
Hello? Hello?
Thank you so much, Michelle. The last but not the least, Hank, evaluating Michelle's speech.
Yeah, Michelle, yeah, I thought your speech was excellent. You had a great energy. Yeah, I'll try not to sugarcoat this too much, but your energy was, I thought your energy was excellent. You were clearly you care a lot about about the subject, and vocal variety, all of these things that I was kind of looking at, at least on my criteria: the eye contact, audience awareness, comfort level. You seem very comfortable. All those things were excellent. So yeah, that really helped me to draw me in to try to want to hear more about what you had to say. Something to work on in the future is that I would say some of it, even though I thought you really, you kind of you were telling your story, and you built up to a clear point and a action item at the end about how to a word or phrase that you can say to speak away your anxiety. I think maybe if you can kind of preview, like start with the key points at the beginning, you kind of say what you're going to say at the beginning, and then say it, and then say it again at the end, so that there's some of that repetition, because for an informative speech, it helps when you can kind of get that repetition, so people, novices can remember that, if this is the only exposure that they're going to get. And also maybe add some other, if you're telling a story, maybe add some other voices for vocal variety, if there are any other people, any other examples, something like that can maybe help to even expand it, even further. And also things like maybe to engage the audience, maybe like say, like if you raise your hand if you've ever had a day like this, and then raise your hand or something like that can maybe engage the audience a little bit more. But already, I mean, these are just like, nitpicks, but overall, I thought it was, it went very well.
Thank you so much. You gave me extremely great feedback. And of course you had to do that because of what I said. So you did awesome. Thank you.
Hank, are you done with your feedback?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And now let me call our timer, Elios. Thank you so much.
Yes, I already put all the time signal on the Zoom screen, so I think I don't need to recap all of it. Back to you, Chi.
Okay. I don't know. Oh, okay. We can skip that to save time as well. Already we passed, and I think let's conclude. Let me give a real fast feedback. Already is 8 o'clock. We had a great meeting. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I'll appreciate the timer. You came as a guest and to take a role. I appreciate you. Michelle, thank you so much. You do 2 roles, as a speaker and as an evaluator. I'm gonna give you the evaluation for your evaluation. I'm gonna send you an email. You did a wonderful job. I will say it, but we don't have time. The same thing with Hank. And thank you, Cynthia, for stepping up and to do the table topic master. Kwaza, thank you so much to be a Toastmaster as well as evaluator. You are performing so much. And our speaker, everybody today showing up and performing very well. In my opinion, we had a great meeting. Mike, I want to see you training at TLI. Really, really, this is as the if everybody take your training stress, everybody will be performing as a DTA. So that was the basic training. I mean, it is sincere. So thank you so much. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Michelle, please send me your email address. I'm gonna, Hank, I know your email. I will send you the evaluation.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I'm aware of our timing. We do like to end on time. However, a couple of points. Ilios, I want to echo Weston's comment. You came as a guest and you very more than adequately filled in as timer for the meeting. Very excellent, fulfilling that task and role, and we appreciate it. So thank you very much. By the way, this is the first time having you attend our club, and if you had a comment or something you'd like to share with us, please do so.
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the chance. And yes, thank you for asking me to become a timer. It is improving my skills to multitask and to do the time management and to make sure that the meeting is running around to the agenda. So basically, if you want to have a good timer, obviously you need to make a better or good agenda, and you did it. The secretary or the one that made this agenda is very great. It is helpful. so I can perform my duty well. And I love the atmosphere here. It looks like that you are not doing a speechcraft. It takes those speechcrafter as is like a new member already. It's like they already knew Toastmaster for long. And great job that even for a speechcrafter you can take role, and not only one role but roles, so you can perform well in your club meetings for the next upcoming meetings once you are official as a Toastmasters member. And I love how Mike performed his keynote speech. That's one of the best PPE education session that I have ever listened to, watched to. Yeah, it is definitely displays the excellence of his title, Beholder. So yeah, it speaks all. You don't need to explain that you have a title. You just need to explain that how you do it. And I think that's all from me. I hope I can be useful for this meeting, and you can learn also to pick up a better timer. Back to you.
Well, thank you very much, and feel free to join us at any time, whether you're a timer or not. Thank you. I'd like to just quickly check in with our other guest, Lisa. Lisa, are you there?
Oh,
I'm
there she
here.
is.
Thank you so much. This was a great meeting. I'm going to try to come as often as I can, but it ends up at being 11 o'clock my time. And I was actually on Zoom starting at 9 o'clock this morning to give a speech in India. And so it's a very long day. And yet I really feel great being here and enjoyed all three of the speeches and the table topics. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. And we have a person who joined us later in our meeting, and I'm going to welcome you and also ask for your feedback now. Guido Ross. I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning.
Well, thank you for joining our meeting. Hopefully you were able to enjoy it and to get something from the meeting.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous because this is the first time I joined with you. I saw the link in the group, and then because I'm free today, so that's why I joined with you all. And then, yeah, to be honest, now I'm a basic English teacher, and then I teach many kids in my village, because I'm a villager, and then I live far away from the capital of Indonesia. Yeah, but when sometimes I meet with native speakers, I'm nervous. So to be honest, tonight I'm this morning, I mean, I'm excited. I'm over the moon to meet with you here. And then I know about Miss Cynthia, because if I'm not mistaken, I met her 2 years ago in on a Zoom meeting with Sir Sachirat from India. To be honest, I love English, and then I speak English every day. I'm from Indonesia. I'm from Indonesia, and then I'm from in the east of Indonesia. It's too far from the capital, and then if I'm not mistaken, I live in an island that has a Komodo, the dragon, one of the 7 wonders in the world.
Wow. Well, we want to thank you for joining us, and feel free to join us at any time. I want to let you know that even though you are not a native English speaker, you are more than welcome to join us. We have guests as well as members who are not native English speakers, and they feel very comfortable in our club. So join us, be with us as you learn and improve your English speaking skills. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope so. I hope one day I will join again.
Thank you.
Okay.
I I just want to thank everybody for attending our meeting tonight and our speakers especially. We definitely learned some wonderful tips and information. Thank you, Michelle, for those tips regarding anxiety zap. Thank you, Dr. Wade, for just reminding us of those core values of Toastmasters. And Mike, I love the ideas of the spreadsheets and all. Again, I would just suggest consider offering this speech in expanded form at one of the Toastmaster conventions. Well, you know, it's a little past 8 o'clock, and I just want to thank everybody for joining us and wish you a wonderful evening and weekend.
Can I just say one thing, Kawaza?
Yes, sir.
Cynthia contacted me on Monday or Tuesday. She says, I want you to give the excellence, leadership, effective feedback speech on Thursday night. And I looked at my calendar. I said, I have got to put in 8 hours doing this. And on Tuesday, I've got to get 8 hours doing this by Thursday. I don't see I could possibly do that. But I believe in the concept of stretching, and that stretching builds your character. And so I took this on and it really turned out well. So thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Mike. So everyone have a great evening, Mike. You and I should stay on.
Next week? I'm sorry. Do we have next week meeting or?
Yes, we are meeting next week virtually,
Okay.
and feel free to send an email volunteering for a role.
Okay.
And
Mike,
Cassandra
you
was visiting us too. It was great to see her. I saw her beautiful hat. but,
I didn't
um,
see her hat.
I saw it briefly.
Oh, there you are, Cassandra. Okay. Just real quickly, I don't know if anybody else was having this. There was some problem actually seeing names of participants, but hopefully maybe I was the only one that was impacted by that. So, hello, Cassandra.
Thank you for coming.
Exactly. Okay, everyone, have a good evening. Mike, you and I need to stay on.
There's your hat. Beautiful hat. I love it.
Oh, I can't see it.
I
You
can.
can't see it.
It's a great hat.
Gorgeous earrings. Too. Wow.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Oh, there you are, Cassandra. Nice lid, yes.
Nice lid. Yes.
Good night. I'm gonna take my leave. Be
Good
well
night.
all.
Good night, Lisa.
night.
I know it's late night for you.
Yes.
And we're having a meeting next week. Is it going to be a joint one with eSpace?
No, we are not having a joint meeting. It's just us.
Oh, it's just, okay. It's just us. Okay. Great. Okay. Good night.
Good night. I like that shoji, Cassandra. I like your shoji. Okay, Mike, let's see. So, Mike, stop our recording.